Good evening, and thanks for joining us on episode 4 of the Back Rail podcast. It has taken us a little while to get this one to air. We've been plagued with technical difficulties, but I'm happy to report that we are here again, and I'm once again joined by my good friend and co-host, Rod McQueen. Now, focus groups have shown that 9 out of 10 people would happily listen to young Rod read out the software user agreement for Microsoft 10, just so they could hear him say terms and conditions. Thanks for joining us, Roderick.
Thank you, Lammy. Great to be here. Episode 4. Yes, we have been a bit plagued with some software issues, and I'm sad I'm not there next to you this week, fireside, due to some weather constraints earlier in the week. Again, apologies to our listeners for not getting this episode out quicker, but yeah, looking forward to what we can deliver on episode 4, and I no doubt you are too, Lammy.
And apologies to not only listeners, but also sponsors, because
yes,
we've got a new beverage sponsor this week.
Yes, we do. We got a letter in the mail, Lammy, and I'll just pull it out here. So this week's sponsor, this week's drink sponsor has come from Davidson Equestrian in Toowoomba, Shane and Matea. Big thank you to them. They wanted to get on board in the letter. They said, we really appreciate the stuff you're doing with the podcast, how informative it is, and the stories that you're delivering, not only just about the selection and how they get there, but also their stories of what they were doing back into 20 years ago, or the history of the event, or so they're long-time listeners. They listen to all the episodes. And a bit of an update there, Lammy, from Davidson Equestrian. Young Nick and Lachlan, their 2 boys, are now heavily involved with the breeding program and the selection of stallions over mares. So great stuff from the crew at Davidson Equestrian. Big thank you to them for their support. And yeah, great to be supported by some good human beings for these Stone and Wood Pacific Ales.
Yep, that was Davo's choice, the Stone and Wood. So cheers, Davo.
Thanks, guys.
That's it's quite fruity, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
so how are we starting?
Feedback.
Always.
Feedback. We got an anonymous email during the week.
Right.
With some feedback, but fortunately we were able to get the Back Rails forensic IT department onto it, and that anonymous email actually came from an IP address very close to where you are right now, Junior. So
really,
it might have emanated from the offices of Equus Australia, but what that feedback was about was 2 horses that we spoke about last week, one being Mr. Bombastic, Shaggy, that was at one stage owned by Julia Hargraves and is the reserve horse for the American team at this stage. And the other horse?
For the UAE.
That's right. Enjoy from the UAE.
Enjoy.
Now, we mentioned both those horses last week, and they're actually full siblings. So very unusual to have full siblings. Well, Shaggy, Mr. Bombastic might not get to actually be in the team, but at least down to the final 5. So, yeah, that was quite an interesting. Yeah, very good one.
Very good pickup.
Now, some other feedback that we got during the week that I really want to mention. As we said, we've been having enormous technical difficulties, and I was contacted today by Fiona Hughes, formerly Sit Tight Radio, now they're Between the Flags podcast. And she just got in touch, said, look, I can help you out with some technical stuff, help you with some audio stuff, pointed us in the right direction. We've reinvested some of our drinks and sponsorship money already into some new equipment.
Yes, of course.
It's not a growth on your shirt there, is it? That's not a hairy mole. That's actually a mic.
Microphone, yep. No animal was harmed in the making of this fluffy, by the way.
Yeah, and this one, and we've got some more gear coming that Fiona's pointed us in the right direction of. So that was really, really cool of Fiona to do that. So thank you very much.
Very kind. Thank you, Fiona.
Okay, this week's news.
Yes.
We now know the young riders that will be competing in the special young rider events that are taking part at the World Championships. It's not a young rider World Championships, but they're young rider events at the World Championships.
Yep. So it came out last week, the announcement that Charlie Magner and Jack Barker will be representing Australia. Hannah Doolan is the reserve.
Sorry, got to pull you up right there.
Right.
On this podcast, we will now forever be referring to him as Baby Jack Barker.
Baby Jack Barker?
As far as we can tell, the youngest Australian rider ever to compete on an Australian Nations Cup team. was it Deville? It was
Yes.
19 and 1 week. We put the call out. We haven't been able to get anyone to come up with a younger rider. Robert Goodwin was close. Robert Goodwin was younger and rode in a Nations Cup class in America, but he wasn't part of an Australian team. So baby Jack Barker and Charlie Magnia.
Yep. So Jack Barker will be riding a Oaks bred mare, so another horse bred here in Australia by Oaks Sport Horses. Oaks Cryptic, a horse side by Contendro 1.
So now up to three Oaks bred horses that will be at Aachen.
Yes, and that horse was also produced here. It was bought at a young age, or in conjunction with Alice at Oaks Sport Horses by Jess Brown, my wife. Produced to the level to last year by Jess, and then purchased by Jack last year, and then Jack's gone overseas and obviously then gone up the next level and doing great things. So best of luck to them, obviously. We'll be watching closely, but also Charlie Magna, Notre Dame de Bourguignon. We all know Australian Young Rider Champion, doing really well overseas. Talking to him last week at the Polo Fields, the jumping, and he was very excited to be over there competing and was looking forward to that event. And we're actually going to try and catch up. They were really, really good to agree. They'll catch up during the event, Lammy, so we might even get them on the podcast as a bit of a guest. But yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. Good luck to them, obviously. Yeah, can't wait to watch them.
Now, also, there was, from memory, a tie-in with, you had some information about where Charlie's currently doing his HM.
Yes, he was doing his trials. This is a good one. Charlie was doing his trials, and he goes to Cranbrook School, which is in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. Now, close to 20 years ago, it's kind of the theme we're going with at the moment, and we'll stay with that. Close to 20 years ago was the first time ever a horse was jumped on the Hordern Oval at Cranbrook School.
Right, so this is the story you started telling me, and that's how far we got. So,
yep.
How, why, what was the background to that? How do you even know about it?
Well, I know about it because that was actually me doing it. So I didn't know that Charlie Magna went to Cranbrook, and I'm like, well, small world, right? He went to school, and my actual housemaster's still at the school, would you believe it? And when I was at school, and 20 years ago, the headmaster invited, said, can you bring your horse to the final day of school and jump it on the main oval in front of the school? So I did. So very supportive of what I did with jumping, show jumping, and so yeah, it was a bit of fun. So wonder if Charlie could do the same.
Well, he's getting to jump on the main arena of Aachen, so probably.
Yeah. Good point.
So one of the main things we wanted to talk about today was the actual format. What's going to happen with the jumping at the World Championships and how it all goes.
Yes. I really would love your insight into what happens from the start, the format. You've been there for many championships. So how does it work in relation to this World Championships from day one?
Right. So what it all begins, there'll be a chef's meeting, and at that chef's meeting there'll be a draw for the order of nations for the first trot up. Now, for the countries that have teams, the order of go within the team will just be alphabetical order for the trot up. So once trot up's done, all the horses that pass the trot up are then eligible to take part in the warm-up, the arena familiarisation, 90 seconds in the ring, whatever you want to call it. So that'll take place on the next day. There's only about 8 fences. There'll be a combination. The gear will be very basic. And so riders get 90 seconds, and in that time you can jump all 8 fences. You can jump fence number 1 multiple times, as long as you jump the fences in the right direction. Some riders just go out and won't jump anything. They'll just use it as a flat work and an opportunity to get out in the middle. And then after that training session's been done, that's then when the chef de keeps will declare their team for day 1. And there'll be another draw done at that stage. So a draw for the individuals and then a draw for the teams. Now, the order of go within your team that's up to the chef to make that call. So usually what happens is you talk to guys in the team, you might have someone that, really doesn't want to go first or really doesn't want to go last, or someone that's happy to go first as long as we don't draw too early. So you have a plan of who you've got, and if you get a bum draw and you draw in the first couple of teams, you might have to make a bit of an amendment to that. So then that's the order of go for the first event, and that's when The reserve rider, again, will be confirmed after that, because all 5 riders, in the case of Australia, all 5 of our riders do the arena familiarisation. Ties as a reserve, all things being equal, you presume she stays a reserve. That can change up until an hour before the start of the Table C. The change is supposed to be on medical or veterinary grounds. So then we have the Table C class. The way it's judged like a normal Table C, time is added for rails, any rails down. It'll be 12 to 14 obstacles. It'll be 1.55 metre high, 2 metres wide, 2.2 for a triple bar. The interesting thing that happens is at the end, the riders' scores are multiplied by a coefficient of 0.5.
Right.
Okay, so if you're on 60 seconds and I was on 61 seconds, then your score becomes 30 and my score becomes 30.5. Right? So you're basically halving the difference between scores. Then what they do is they say, right, the rider who's won, which was you on 30, we're giving you 0. Okay? And then everybody else's penalties are in relation to that 0. So you'd be on 0, I'd be on 0.5 of the penalty, and those penalties then carry forward through the whole show. It sounds a bit complicated, but actually when it happens, it's just all done by a computer.
Yep.
And it's all very straightforward. Speaking of computers, when they do those draws, this is something I was thinking about the other day, the draws now are generally done by a computer. It's a bit like lotto numbers being drawn, okay? But back in the day, there was many different ways that those draws were done. And one of the best ways that I was ever involved with was at the Sydney Olympics, when Jenny Shepherd was the jumping manager, Franz Benhaus was the equestrian manager. And one of the draws, it was done with jars of Vegemite, and another one, it was cans of VB, I think. So they just had a number on the bottom of them, and there was a whole table filled with jars of Vegemite, and you went up and you picked a jar, and the number underneath, that was where you were in the draw. So not as high tech as how it's done now, but it was good fun.
Possibly go wrong, a bit like a barrier draw. So Todd Hine won't be sitting up there after day one with a pen and paper doing his scores, will there? It'll be
no, he won't have a calculator out jotting things down. It's all
he's got better things to do.
Yeah, that's right. And the scoring, like it's a whole department, like within the FEI, the people that look after that electronic scoring. And as I say, it sounds a bit complex, but when it actually happens, it's just done, and okay, we're moving forward now.
So day one, obviously very important. Table C.
Yeah.
Penalties carry through the whole competition. So then
carry through.
So
everyone
Table C 1.55 m, and then what do we roll into?
So then the next day we roll into so the Nations Cup, but it's not a standalone Nations Cup because you're carrying your penalties, your 3 best penalties from the day before. So that's also how the draw's done. Reverse seeded order for the individuals and for the teams. Okay, because everyone that competes on day 1 competes on day 2. But the big goal is to get to day 3, because day 3 is only for the top 10 teams and the top 60 individuals. So there's in the vicinity of 150, going to be in the vicinity of around 150 horses and riders in that Table C on day 1. Now it'll be interesting what tactics come into play there, because again, this is the first time there's been a championship or an Olympics on grass since Aachen 20 years ago. There's been European championships and that on grass, but a world, there hasn't been one since then. So Table C, usually your gun combination has to sit in your team, so they're 4th out, and for that class you'd want your fastest ones there so they know what they've got to beat. However, if it's wet, you have to wonder whether some of those ones might want to slip into 3rd spot in the team so they don't have the worst of the ground. Now, I understand that they're going to roll the ground or do what they can, and it's obviously it's not just a grass arena. Like there's drainage and volcanic rock underneath to, it turns the water very well. It's really high-tech grass surface. But, whether there is a bit of a downturn in how the arena is, so whether we'll see maybe some of the fastest combinations go in slot 3 for their teams, that'll be something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, tactics, as you say.
Yeah. So, but again, before we start that day 2, there's another chef's meeting because we can have a different order of go within the team. Okay, the chefs can your order the team goes in is fixed by reverse seated order, but they can go, okay, no, you're first out today, and make some changes.
Okay.
So then that first day of what was sort of the Nations Cup, we're up to metre 60, metre 65 fences now. These tracks, they all have either a double and a treble or 3 doubles. I think the water has to be used a minimum of two times, a maximum of 3 times. But I think the first round of the teams, it has to be used, the open water.
Yep.
So again, but it's your best 3 scores. Okay, so the best 3 scores from that day, and coupled with your best 3 scores from the table C, then decides who goes forward into the final for the teams. Okay, so that's top 10 teams, and then the top 60 individuals go through as well. So you'll have some riders who were in teams that didn't qualify, but they've qualified as an individual. And you'll also get some riders in teams that aren't qualified as an individual, but they're going through to day 3 because their team's qualified. Okay, so you can't, if you haven't qualified as a top 60 individual, but you get through to the next day in your team, you can't then pull out a blinder and be suddenly considered in the top 60. You're done. You're only there as a team rider. Okay? So at the end of that day, it's medals. Then we have a day off. Then the top 25 individuals, again, from scores from the table C, the 2 rounds of the teams class. Top 25 go through to the final day for round A, and then the top 12 jump again later that day in round B for the individual medals. All the time, you're carrying whatever score you get. So a rail on day 1 in the table C obviously has less impact because it's adding to your time, but it's the difference between you and anyone else is halved. So a rail on day 1 is usually has less impact than a rail later on, but they're all accumulating all the way along. So you would say it probably rewards the more consistent teams and riders, as different to the new Olympic format where everybody starts each day, you start from zero again.
Sure, absolutely.
So it's a different thing, but it is a long and grueling week, and that's how it's done now.
So bit of format. Now, I just want to find out. I just want to go a little bit deeper here. You've mentioned a few times just now, and it's very informative. Thank you about the format. Again, with your experience, when you're in your role as the chef, what happens in these chefs' meetings? Like, take us a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah. There's usually catering. You usually get a bicky or cake or something.
Vegemite sandwich.
And no. But they're usually very collegiate. Like there's a lot of those guys are competing in Nations Cups, week in, week out. So it's generally a very collegiate type environment. However, they're all pretty quick to stick up for their own team if anything comes up, or if there's any sort of view that someone's getting a better deal than someone else.
Right. Okay.
However, usually it's very much united. Usually, it's been my experience that it's a united front from the teams. One occasion that springs to mind was at the London Olympics when we did the arena familiarisation, because with the Olympics, the media rights, sold for millions and millions of dollars. So the media aspect is quite a big deal. And they wanted the riders to come out of the ring after they'd done their arena familiarisation, get off the horse straight away, go to what they call the mixed zone, which is where all the TV networks and reporters are, have your quick little chat, and then go. So a number of the chefs said, no, the riders will want to go and straight from the arena back out into the warm-up, trot round, cool their horses down. Won't be long, 5 or 6 minutes. So the deal was, righto, as long as they come back, they have to come back and do their media. Yep, everyone agreed to that. Then the next day after the first class, after we'd done that, there was a chef's meeting the next day, and there was a big shot from the broadcasting unit for the Olympics was there. And he just said, look, a number of riders didn't come back as we were promised. So the rule now is when they come out of the ring, they step off their horse, they go straight to the mix zone, do their interview, then they can go and do their warm down. Now, I think it was, from memory, it was George Morris who was the first one, who just stood up, put his hand up, stood up and said, no, 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 this is a horse welfare issue. These horses need to be cooled down. You can't make them do that. And then just one after the other, every chef just stood up and went, yep, that's a welfare issue. That's a welfare issue. And you could see up the front, the table where the FEI officials and the London Olympic Committee officials were, they were sort of a lot of talking behind hands and shaking their heads. And in the end, they went, okay, but you must make the riders come back. They must come back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, things like that.
Okay.
In Hong Kong was one of the first, I think it was the first time when weighing the back boots became a thing. So,
okay.
And they were very proactive in saying, look, there'll be stewards coming around. If you want your boots weighed when they're around in the stables, get them weighed beforehand. We're not trying to catch anybody. Get the boots weighed. And Greg Best who's been in the Final Four at the World Championships. Bestie was there as the New Zealand chef to keep. And I remember we were walking up to a chef's meeting and he said to me, have you noticed how, because in Hong Kong it was always, drizzly rain and sometimes quite heavy rain, he said some of the boots, they're absorbing water and they're heavier when they come out than when they go in. Yeah, he said, so what do you think? And I said, I don't know. He said, I'm going to ask. So anyway, so he asked the question, so if the boots are heavier when they come out because of water, is it their weight when they're dry or their weight when they come out? And they were very quick to say, no, it's the weight when they come out. If they soak up water, that's on you. You've got to be aware of that. So, yeah.
Okay. Very insightful.
Yeah, so,
gee, I think we've covered a lot there. And then no doubt when the jumping starts, we're going to do our daily updates, but then we'll touch on those little things that we've mentioned in terms of Table C and penalty points carrying through once it's all calculated.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, that's right.
All in all, exciting time ahead.
Yeah. Now we want to get to the whiteboard, don't we? We want to talk about
the whiteboard. You've been very excited to show me this whiteboard.
I have. Hang on.
We almost need a drum roll.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Hang on. Stand by.
Stand by.
I'll get the whiteboard.
Very disappointed I couldn't be with you at Bar Lamb Grill this week to deliver episode 4. Yeah, it's a good view. Gee, look at you go.
Okay, hang on. I've got to get my mic back.
Yeah. I've got to be able to hear you, Lammy.
Yeah, I realise that. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
So what we've done with the whiteboard, it's very big. But we've tried to make a whiteboard so people can keep track of the riders and the horses that we've been talking about. Okay?
Sure.
So now I think I've got to do this bit of technical stuff here. And
while you do that, you have beautiful handwriting.
I don't want to do that. I've got to do this. Hang on. There we go. Now it's around the right way, isn't it? Oh, look at that. Magic.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got, that's hard to, obviously we've got Team Australia, Tom and Venti, Weenie and Fellow, Jim and Juno, Rowan and Hanson, and Tizer and B. Okay, so obviously we all want to follow the Aussies. Okay, and we know that they'll all be in the arena familiarisation, and from there we're going to lose someone at this stage. Ties as the reserve. Okay.
Yep.
So in the Kiwis, we've got Katie and Django, Katie's ridden for Australia, her father's ridden for Australia. Katie's been out here heaps of times. Luke D and Gangster, who's really been on fire.
Killing it.
Yeah.
They are. Yep.
Sophie Scott and Normandy. So Libby Hamoud's previous horse. So again, a lot of interest
also
there.
Doing very well.
Yep. And Uma O'Neill on Luigi. Okay. Now, then we get to some of the others that the people or the horses.
People. Yep.
So over here, the people. Okay.
Yep.
We've got Taizo Sugatani, whose wife Ricky was Australian.
Yep.
Was Jamie Coleman's groom for the Sydney Olympics. We've got Dennis Lynch, married to Julia Hargraves, and we're even going to take some special interest in Martin Fuchs, obviously with his relationship with Simone Pearce.
Yes.
So then we go to the horses that have got an Australian link. So there's Levi, who's there with Team Turkey. I can't even read that, Junior. Who have I got next? Shakalina. Wow. Shakalina jumped off at Dublin the other day. How good was that?
Wasn't that terrific?
Yeah. So,
Gee, what a
so
story.
Shakalina is
Shakalina.
obviously Oaks bred. Then we've got Casino Dior, which again was a Kiwi horse that Philip Steiner had. Came out here a couple of years ago, so another one of special interest.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bombastic, Shaggy, who is connected
Say no more. Yep.
through
To
Dennis.
Dennis Lynch. Yep.
Dennis
Just
and
spoken
Julia.
about him.
Yep. Frida.
LT Holster.
So
Frida,
another Kiwi horse was with Julie Davies, now been sold to Harry Charles. So again, been going very well since that deal's been done.
Absolutely.
Enjoy Delamure. So he got on the list because we were talking about Youth Olympic participants. So Almazuki, that's his horse, but then we also have the link with him and Mr. Bombastic.
Which we got from our feedback, yes.
Yep. And then Hero, High Star Hero, McLean Ward's horse that he'll be riding.
Yep.
That was up until Paris Olympics was Ty's second horse.
Yep.
And then obviously we've got our young riders there, Baby Jack Barker.
Baby Jack,
Charlie.
Like that. Charlie Magna.
And then we've got our drinks and beverage sponsor.
Can't forget about them, Davidson Equestrian. Thank you once again.
So that's all, it's all linked. We probably should have a link that goes from Baby Jack Barker to Shakalino up to Venti for the Three Oaks horses.
Yes.
But so they're our special interest people or horses that we'll be paying particular attention to and updating once competition starts on how they're doing and where they're at. Well, look at that. My microphone's
exciting.
Got a bit of a...
Oh, that's okay. Mine, we can hear you. That's the main thing. There you go.
So...
That is some extensive work there with that whiteboard. You've been busting to tell me about the whiteboard, so I'm glad we can finally get it out in the public eye.
We might have to make a digital version of the whiteboard or something that's a bit easier to display.
Yes.
So dressage starting tonight.
Yes. Round one of the dressage. Interesting to see they all trotted up in their helmets. Did you see that?
Yeah, not sure what was going on there. I'm not. I know all the Australians did. I'm not sure if that was a directive from that all teams did that or.
Safety or whether it was a dress thing. Anyway, we'll see.
Just whether that was, maybe it's just a sand dancer thing, but it's something we'll look into.
Maybe.
So I think, we'll try and get this one up tonight.
Yep.
And next episode, we might even try if we can catch up with Jack and Charlie, I think, for our next one.
That would be good. Yeah, no, they both did say, yep, for sure. So we'll give them a buzz and get in touch. Now, obviously, Lammy, with our updates during the jumping, it's going to be early morning rather than afternoon. So just in terms of drink sponsors, we can't really be we've got to be so. And I know you love your tea.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd take this time to say maybe if there's a sponsor out there would like to get in touch, you can either email, send us a text, send us a fax.
Yeah, but getting quick because we've already got next week's next episode's drink sponsors already locked in.
Yes.
But
Yep.
And you do get to choose what brand of alcohol we drink. But we'd be happy to take on someone that wants to support our bit of T2 or something.
Yes.
New York breakfast, very good.
Right.
You'd be an Earl Grey man, wouldn't you? Huh?
Well, touch of honey, Yep. For the voice,
All right, well, hopefully this uploads.
Not a bar lamb grill? Anything on the menu?
No, just for show tonight.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm glad we could get together and get this episode up and running. Episode 4. Looking forward to the next episode.
Keep the feedback coming.
Please keep it. And
any
thanks again to
suggestions?
Davidson Equestrian for their support.
Very much so. And thanks again. Another shout out to Fiona Hughes for her help too.
Yes, help with the audio. Hope this comes a little bit louder and clearer. Episode 4 to all our viewers, and thanks again for joining.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. See you, Lammy.
See you, mate.